Hi friends, welcome to my channel. In this video, we are going to talk about the structure of the United Nations. UN has six principal organs, namely the General Assembly, Security Council, Economic and Social Council, Trusteeship Council, International Court of Justice, and the Secretariat. All these bodies were established in 1945. And with the exception of the International Court of Justice, which is based in The Hague, Netherlands, all the remaining bodies are based in New York. So let's start with the first principal body of the UN, namely the General Assembly. It is the main deliberative, policy-making, and representative organ of the UN. It currently has 193 members and is the only UN body with universal representation, as all 193 member countries are a part of it. The Assembly meets annually in September for its general session and debate. These meetings usually run from September to January until all issues have been addressed. The Assembly can also meet for special and emergency sessions. Now let's talk about the roles and functions of the General Assembly, which include approving the UN budget, appointment of non-permanent members of Security Council. Here we should note that in addition to the non-permanent members of the Security Council, the Assembly is also responsible for electing members to various UN bodies like the Economic and Social Council and the International Court of Justice. The General Assembly is also responsible for the appointment of UN Secretary General, establishment of subsidiary bodies. It also goes through the reports prepared by these subsidiary bodies and then passes resolutions on matters being discussed. Voting in the General Assembly is by two-thirds majority of those present and voting when it comes to important questions such as passing resolutions pertaining to peace and security, budgetary matters, and the election, admission, suspension, or expulsion of member states. Other issues require simple majority. Each member country has one vote, so all member states have equal representation. A few more things to note. In addition to 193 member states, which we talked about earlier, there are also two observer states which are a part of the General Assembly. These are Holy See and Palestine. The state of Holy See consists of the Vatican City and other jurisdictions which come under Pope. The Assembly appoints its president each year to serve a one-year term. Resolutions passed by the General Assembly are not binding on the members except resolutions pertaining to budget. The Assembly has the right to take action to restore international peace if the Security Council fails to act. Contribution by member states is the main source of funds for the Assembly. As per the current contribution scale, the four largest contributors to the UN are: the first is the USA, which contributes 22% of the budget. Second, China, 12%. Third, Japan, 8.5%. And fourth, we have Germany, which contributes 6% of the budget. Special session of the General Assembly can be convened under three different circumstances. First, at the request of the Security Council. Second, at the request of a majority of the member states of the General Assembly. And third, at the request of a single member, as long as the majority is okay with it. Now let's talk about the Security Council. It is responsible for maintenance of international peace and security. The Security Council comprises a total of 15 members, out of which 5 are permanent, whereas 10 are appointed for a 2-year term each. A country cannot be re-elected immediately after completing a term of 2 years. It is the 5 permanent members of the Security Council which possess the veto power or the power to block passing of a resolution by voting against it. So if any one of the 5 permanent members votes negatively, the resolution cannot be passed. Now let's take a look at the members of the Security Council. Permanent members include China, France, Soviet Union or Russia, United Kingdom, and the United States. And we see that these five permanent members of the Security Council were the victorious powers in World War II. When it comes to the non-permanent members of the Security Council, we should keep in mind that these are elected from different regional groupings to make sure that all parts of the world get a fair representation. So we have Gabon, Ghana, and Mozambique, which belong to the Africa group, United Arab Emirates, and Japan, which belong to the Asia Pacific group. Usually, one of the seats assigned to either the Asia Pacific group or the African group is filled by a country from the Middle East, alternating between the groups. Albania represents the Eastern Europe group. Malta and Switzerland belong to a group called Western Europe and Other, implying other countries in Europe. Brazil and Ecuador are from Latin American group, which also include the Caribbean. Talking about the roles and functions of the Security Council, its most important function is to maintain international peace. Therefore, it is in charge of peacekeeping operations, which it performs with the help of UN peacekeepers. It has the right to authorize military action and impose sanctions, which can be economic and trade sanctions, financial restrictions, travel bans, and so on. Each member in the Security Council has one vote. Procedural matters, such as approving annual reports of the General Assembly, require affirmative vote of at least three-fifths, that is, 9 members. Veto power here is not applicable. All other matters require affirmative vote of 9 members, including concurring votes of all permanent members. So we see that veto power is applicable in case of non-procedural matters. However, if a P5 country, that is a permanent member of the Security Council, abstains from voting, it is not counted as veto. According to Article 27.3 of the UN Charter, parties to a dispute must abstain from voting. However, this principle is often flouted when decisions get vetoed by members that are involved in a dispute. All five permanent members have exercised the right of veto at one time or another. Points to note: Presidency of the Security Council rotates every month. Its economic sanctions are binding on the member states. This makes it the only UN body which can impose binding resolutions. Veto power of the permanent members does not hold in the emergency special sessions of the General Assembly. The five permanent members are the only countries that are officially recognized as nuclear weapon states under the Non-Proliferation Treaty or the NPT. Now let's talk about the Economic and Social Council, also called ECOSOC. It is responsible for coordinating economic and social work of the UN. According to the UN Charter, the ECOSOC is to work on the three pillars of sustainable development, namely social, economic, and environmental development. Its president is elected for a one-year term. It consists of 54 members elected annually by the General Assembly for a three-year term. Just like the non-permanent members of the Security Council, all of these members are elected from different regional groupings. 14 of these 54 countries are from Africa, 11 from Asia Pacific, 6 from Eastern Europe, 13 from West Europe and others, and 10 are from Latin America and Caribbean. The ECOSOC also has 5 regional commissions to promote economic and social well-being in different regions of the world. These are Economic Commission for Africa, Economic Commission for Europe, Economic Commission for Latin America and the Caribbean, Economic and Social Commission for Asia and Pacific, Economic and Social Commission for Western Asia. The next UN body is the Trusteeship Council. But before talking about this council, it is first important for us to know about trust territories. At the end of the Second World War, the trust territories were the regions which fell under the administration of the victorious countries, which were also UN member states. So, the Trusteeship Council was formed to supervise 11 trust territories which were administered by different UN member countries. Its main goal was the advancement of trust territories and realization of their independence or self-governance. All trust territories have now gained either independence or self-governance, and therefore the Trusteeship Council became suspended in 1994 after the independence of Palau, which was the last remaining trust territory. So, Trusteeship Council is an inactive body of the United Nations. Now we start with the fifth principal organ of the UN, namely the International Court of Justice or the ICJ. It is also known as the World Court. It is housed in a building called the Peace Palace in The Hague. All UN members are a part of the ICJ, but non-UN members may also become party to the ICJ statute. Once it makes its decisions, no further appeal is possible. The official working languages are English and French. Roles and functions of the ICJ. It settles disputes between countries. The court decides disputes between countries based on the voluntary participation of the states concerned. If a state agrees to participate in a proceeding, it is obligated to comply with the court's decision. The court also gives advisory opinion on legal questions. Now let's talk about its composition. Its panel consists of 15 judges elected by the General Assembly and Security Council for a term of 9 years. Judges are eligible for re-election, but no two judges can be from the same nationality. The last UN body which we shall discuss in this video is the UN Secretariat. The Secretariat is the UN's executive arm, just like the International Court of Justice is its judicial arm. The Secretariat looks after the day-to-day functioning of the UN, and it is headed by the Secretary General, who is also the Chief Administrative Officer of the UN. With this, we have reached the end of our video. If you like this video, then please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.